Hey everybody, I'm coming to you today from Fort Wayne, Indiana at the General Motors assembly plant, and we'll tell you all about how Silverados and Sierras are built, so stay tuned. Our tour of Fort Wayne Assembly lasted about an hour and a half in total, so while we're going to show you a lot of the crucial steps in production, there is definitely a ton going on here at the plant that we just didn't have time to see. So follow along step by step as we walk you through everything that we saw. The tour begins when the frame enters the facility on this conveyor. Now somewhere else in the factory at this exact same moment, the body, bed, and powertrain are all starting similar journeys and will slowly meet each other as they move down the line. That sequencing is quite complex, and it also is designed to help the workers. Now, as you see these trucks roll down the line, they will actually be set up in such a way to make sure the line moves smoothly. So you'll have one truck that has high content, something like a Sierra Denali, and right next to it you'll have something with low content, like a work truck model, to make sure that the worker has enough time to complete all of the tasks required for the high content model, and then followed up by something with low content. Now the frames begin the assembly process, and the very first piece is fit onto them, which is the transfer case. The frame stays upside down along this entire part of the line for ease of access to install the suspension, axles, exhaust, and more. Now this long shot right here is actually going to be backwards, so keep in mind you're going to see what's happening with the frame in reverse order. As you can see here, parts like the fuel tank drop down from overhead conveyors and are delivered to the workers to install. Now here you can see trailer hitch installation, and here's where the axles go on. Now it's time for the exhaust to be attached. And now we're back where we started. Next up is an impressive machine to watch. This is the frame flipper. Go ahead, say that 3 times fast. Frame flipper, frame flipper, frame flipper. As the name simply implies, this machine's duty is flipping the frame over when it is time to begin installing parts from the top side. Being able to flip the frame just means it is easier for workers to get to the specific spot they need to for installation. So first up, after the frames are flipped, the powertrain goes in. Now this particular engine you see here is a 6.2 liter V8, so hey, maybe this is a Sierra Denali. It could be anything though, including a Silverado, which is what makes these plants honestly so incredible. The fact that a 6.2 Sierra can be built right next to a basic work truck Silverado on the same line at the same time. The station you see here is where the trucks get their wheels and tires, but sadly we showed up right at lunchtime, so you'll have to use your imagination and picture a worker installing some wheels. Now this is a different part of the line, and this is part of the journey that the cab goes through. Now the cab is shipped with the doors on, which then need to be removed. So here you can see them removing doors, which are then sent down their very own line so that the doors can be entirely dressed up with all of their components installed. Next up, the journey of the cab, chassis, and bed all come together to arrive at the marriage, easily the most satisfying robot to watch in the entire plant. This brings chassis, cab, and bed together into one. Now once the large robots place all of the pieces on one another, arms from below extend to tighten all of the bolts to make sure everything is fastened properly. Now the benefit of allowing robots to take over this entire process is they can check the bolt torque as every single bolt is installed. So if one of those bolts is not torqued properly, the machine will know it and it will shut down the line until the issue is fixed. Now let me share a little bit of general information about Fort Wayne Assembly. So this plant opened in 1986 and it is 4.6 million square feet on 716 acres. In total, the plant employs 4,688 employees on 3 shifts every single day. There is a total of 97 truck docks here at Fort Wayne, with material delivery to a dock coming in every 2.6 minutes. There are 40 miles of conveyors inside Fort Wayne Assembly, and when you're looking at the robots, we're talking about 2,276 robots in this plant alone. And the big question is, how many trucks does Fort Wayne build? Well, General Motors says that more than 1,000 Silverados and Sierras roll off the line here every single day. After this is done, you can see trucks exiting the marriage process here, ready for more parts. This part of the line installs parts under the hood, like the battery, which you can see going in right here. And now these nearly finished trucks get another trip to the other side of the plant where all of the final assembly pieces are tacked on. Finally, we end up at final validation, which happens just steps from where the bare frames enter the plant. Here you can see workers checking a number of different variables on each truck to make sure they meet specific requirements. Every single Silverado and Sierra goes through a validation process, while some will be pulled from the line to go through an even more thorough check every single day.
So that's it for our tour of the Fort Wayne assembly plant here. And now you know how Silverados and Sierras come together. So make sure you hit subscribe and then come right back here to TFL for the latest news, views, and real world reviews. See ya.